On an ordinary afternoon in New Jersey, a 5-year-old girl headed toward a playground and seemingly disappeared without a trace. No nearby family reported witnessing a struggle. No abandoned belongings were left behind. No desperate cry echoed through the park. Within only a few minutes, a routine outing became one of America's most haunting child disappearance mysteries. Years have passed since that September afternoon, yet the mystery remains unresolved. No body has been recovered. No confession has ever surfaced. No arrest has provided answers or closure for the family. Investigators have pursued countless leads and appeals. But one question continues to linger. What truly happened to Dulce Maria Alavez that day? Cases like this grip the public because they challenge our assumptions about danger. Most people expect threats to reveal themselves through warning signs or suspicious behavior. Dulce's disappearance shattered that belief. It showed how life can change forever during an ordinary moment. One so routine that nobody recognizes the danger until it is gone. Rather than chasing speculation, we will examine the facts, the people involved, and the psychological forces hidden within a mystery that remains unresolved today. If you appreciate thoughtful true crime investigations and want to help keep unresolved cases alive in public memory, remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. To understand why this case remains so disturbing, we must return to the afternoon of September 16, 2019. The city of Bridgeton, located in southern New Jersey, was experiencing a pleasant early autumn day. The summer heat had begun to fade, and families were taking advantage of the comfortable weather. Nothing about the atmosphere suggested that the community was only hours away from becoming the focus of a nationwide search. At the heart of that afternoon was Bridgeton City Park, a popular gathering place for local families. Wide open fields, walking trails, and a busy playground made it a favorite destination for children. It felt safe, familiar, and welcoming. For most visitors, it was the kind of place where concerns faded and routines felt secure. Children laughed as they raced across the playground, climbing slides and swinging beneath the warm afternoon sky. Parents relaxed nearby, chatting with relatives, watching younger children, or checking their phones. Everything appeared perfectly normal. No one reported suspicious activity, and no obvious warning signs emerged. It was an ordinary scene before an extraordinary mystery began. When investigators reconstructed the timeline, one troubling fact stood out above all others. Dulce disappeared in broad daylight, surrounded by families and park visitors. Cases occurring in crowded public spaces usually generate witnesses and clear observations. Instead, this investigation produced uncertainty. Somehow, the most important moments slipped unnoticed through everyone's attention, leaving behind questions instead of answers. At the center of the story was Dulce Maria Alavez. She was only 5 years old, an age defined by curiosity and trust. Family members described her as energetic, affectionate, and outgoing. She enjoyed spending time with her siblings and was known for making friends easily. Those who knew her remembered a child who approached life with the confidence and innocence that many children naturally possess. From a psychological perspective, young children experience the world very differently from adults. Their understanding of danger is limited, while trust often comes naturally. Most 5-year-olds assume adults are safe and helpful. This developmental reality is crucial to investigators, because a child may unknowingly follow a threat long before recognizing any reason to be afraid. Dulce embodied the bright optimism often seen in young children. She loved playgrounds, outdoor adventures, and meeting new friends. Family photographs captured a cheerful little girl with her entire future ahead of her. Today, those images feel heartbreaking. Dulce remains frozen in time, while the world continues moving forward without answers. Behind every missing child case is a family forever changed. Dulce's mother, Noema Alavez Perez, was only 19 years old when her daughter disappeared. She was raising several young children while carrying responsibilities far beyond her years. In the months that followed, her parenting decisions would become a major focus of public scrutiny. Another important figure was Manuel, Dulce's 3-year-old brother. According to investigators, he was among the last people seen playing with her before she vanished. Like any child his age, he could not fully understand what was happening around him. Yet his presence became one of the final links to Dulce's known movements. Dulce's father was living in Puerto Rico and was not present that afternoon. Nevertheless, he soon found himself trapped in the same nightmare, confronting the rest of the family. Distance offered no protection from grief. Like everyone who loved Dulce, he was left searching for answers that never seemed to come. As media coverage intensified, public attention extended beyond the evidence itself. Reporters examined family relationships, while online communities dissected interviews and personal histories. Social media users searched for hidden meanings and inconsistencies. This often happens in high-profile cases. When facts are scarce, speculation grows quickly, and sometimes overshadows the truth. The witnesses who had been scattered throughout the park that afternoon soon became important figures in the investigation. Some recalled observations that helped shape early theories, while others remembered details only after repeated interviews. Detectives understood a difficult truth. Human memory is imperfect. Stress, time, and suggestion can easily blur recollections, making certainty difficult to separate from interpretation. Bridgeton was not viewed as a place where a child could simply disappear. It was a working-class community built around family routines, schools, and neighborhood connections. Although crime existed, residents generally felt safe. Few parents spent their afternoons worrying about child abductions in crowded public parks. That sense of security made what happened to Dulce even harder for the community to understand. Perhaps that illusion of safety is why the case remains so haunting. Many predators hide within normal settings, exploiting trust instead of revealing obvious danger. As families continued enjoying a normal afternoon at City Park, an unseen sequence of events was already unfolding. And within minutes, the mystery of Dulce Maria Alavez had begun. By the afternoon of September 16, 2019, nothing about the day appeared unusual. The routines of family life were unfolding exactly as they had countless times before. For investigators, this normality would later become one of the most frustrating aspects of the case. Catastrophic events often leave warning signs behind. This one seemed to emerge from a sequence of moments so ordinary that nobody recognized their significance until it was already too late. Sometime after 4 o'clock, Noema Alavez Perez drove to Bridgeton City Park with her children and a younger relative. The outing was not planned as anything extraordinary. It was simply an opportunity for the children to enjoy the playground on a pleasant afternoon. The vehicle arrived at a location that countless local families considered safe, familiar, and predictable. There was no reason to suspect that danger was waiting nearby. As the group settled into the park, 5-year-old Dulce Maria Alavez and her 3-year-old brother Manuel headed toward the playground area. The distance between the play structures and the parked vehicle was significant enough that constant visual supervision became difficult. Yet within many communities, situations like this are common. Parents often balance multiple responsibilities, while children play within what feels like a reasonably secure environment. According to the known timeline, Noema remained near the vehicle with a younger child and a relative. Reports indicated that she spent time talking and reviewing paperwork while the children played. In hindsight, this detail would become one of the most heavily scrutinized aspects of the case. What appeared ordinary before the disappearance would later be examined through the unforgiving lens of tragedy. Meanwhile, Dulce appeared to be enjoying the playground like any other child. Witness accounts described no obvious distress. No one reported seeing her frightened, upset, or attempting to leave the area. She was simply another child among many, surrounded by the noise and movement of a busy public park. If a predator was present, there was nothing obvious to distinguish that person from everyone else nearby. This period is particularly important from a behavioral perspective. Predators who target children often rely on environments where routine activity creates natural camouflage. Crowded spaces can paradoxically provide anonymity. When everyone appears normal, suspicious behavior becomes harder to identify. A person who blends into the background may attract little attention, especially in places where trust is assumed rather than questioned. Then came the moment that transformed the entire afternoon. After some time had passed, Manuel returned to the vehicle alone. At first glance, this may not have seemed alarming. Young children frequently move independently between playground equipment and nearby family members. Yet a subtle shift had already occurred. One child had returned, the other had not. When asked about his sister, Manuel reportedly indicated that Dulce was still near the playground. The answer sounded simple and innocent, exactly what investigators might expect from a 3-year-old. Yet, hidden within that response was the beginning of a mystery that remains unsolved years later. Nobody could determine exactly what happened during the brief period separating the siblings. Noema immediately searched for her daughter. At first, it seemed like a normal moment of worry rather than a nightmare. Parents often lose sight of active children briefly. She hoped Dulce had simply wandered away, joined other kids, or hidden somewhere nearby. As the minutes passed, every reassuring explanation began to disappear. Dulce was nowhere on the playground. Her family searched the slides, swings, nearby paths, and surrounding areas. Each search ended the same way. There was no sign of her. The longer she remained missing, the more frightening her absence became for everyone. One of the most unsettling details is what nobody reported. No witness heard a scream. No one recalled seeing a child resisting an adult. No disturbance drew attention. That silence is significant. It suggests whatever happened may have unfolded quickly and quietly, before Dulce fully recognized that she was in danger. Investigators know that child abductions rarely resemble dramatic movie scenes. Many offenders rely on manipulation rather than force. A friendly approach, a believable story, or a simple promise can gain a child's trust. Young children often follow authority figures without suspicion, making them especially vulnerable during those critical first moments. Within only a few minutes, Dulce seemed to vanish from a crowded public park, or the timeline remains one of the most troubling aspects of the case. Every minute matters when a child disappears. Yet the crucial moments were lost among incomplete memories and uncertain observations, leaving investigators with far more questions than answers. Panic quickly replaced uncertainty. Noema began searching throughout the park in desperation. Family members and nearby visitors joined the effort. What had started as confusion evolved into genuine fear. People searched the playground, surrounding fields, and nearby areas where a child might have wandered. Each unsuccessful attempt deepened the growing realization that this was no longer a routine misunderstanding. As panic spread through the park, emergency services were contacted and the situation escalated rapidly. Police officers arrived within a short time and began securing the area. Search teams were organized, additional resources were requested, and investigators faced a chilling reality. A 5-year-old child had vanished from a crowded public park, and no one could explain how. Throughout the evening, the search grew larger and more urgent. Officers, volunteers, K-9 units, helicopters, and specialized teams combed through every possible location. Wooded areas, nearby roads, and bodies of water were carefully examined. Yet despite hours of effort, investigators found no evidence capable of revealing where Dulce had gone or what had happened. As national media coverage intensified, public attention gradually shifted toward those closest to Dulce. This pattern is common in high-profile missing child cases. When answers are scarce, scrutiny often falls on family members. Noema became the focus of countless discussions, with critics questioning her decisions, her timeline, and her actions on that afternoon. Despite the speculation, investigators repeatedly stated that they had found no evidence linking Noema to her daughter's disappearance. Still, suspicion persisted. Then another possibility emerged. A witness reported seeing an unfamiliar man near the playground, possibly leading a young girl toward a red vehicle. The account remained unconfirmed, yet it introduced a chilling question. Had someone been watching the children long before anyone realized a crime was unfolding? As the first night came to an end, the disappearance of Dulce Maria Alavez was no longer viewed as a missing child incident that might resolve itself with time. Investigators understood that every passing hour reduced the likelihood of a simple explanation. The case demanded immediate attention, and federal resources were quickly mobilized. What had begun as a local emergency was rapidly becoming a national investigation. The FBI joined the effort early, recognizing the seriousness of a child who had vanished under highly unusual circumstances. Search teams returned repeatedly to Bridgeton City Park, examining areas that had already been checked. Canine units tracked possible scent paths. Specialized personnel analyzed terrain, waterways, wooded sections, and surrounding neighborhoods. Investigators pursued every possibility, including scenarios that seemed increasingly unlikely as time passed. One of the greatest challenges emerged from what was missing rather than what was found. The playground where Dulce had last been seen was not covered by a surveillance system capable of capturing the critical moments. In modern investigations, cameras often provide the timeline that witnesses cannot. In this case, the most important section of the park existed within a blind spot. As detectives reconstructed the afternoon, they interviewed hundreds of residents, visitors, business owners, and potential witnesses. Traffic cameras, private security footage, and digital records were examined in hopes of identifying a suspicious vehicle or unknown individual. Yet every lead seemed to dissolve before producing certainty. The investigation generated fragments of information, but few answers. From a psychological standpoint, investigators were facing a particularly difficult type of disappearance. Human memory is strongest when an event appears meaningful at the time it occurs. Most people visiting the park had no reason to pay close attention to strangers passing through the area. By the time they learned a child was missing, their memories had already begun to fade and reshape themselves. Within days, Dulce's photograph appeared across national media outlets. Her smiling face became familiar to millions of Americans who had never heard of Bridgeton before. Television networks aired updates. Online platforms circulated missing child alerts. Community organizations distributed flyers throughout multiple states. The hope was simple. Someone, somewhere, had seen something important and simply had not realized it yet. The public response was immediate and emotional. Social media transformed into a massive forum of speculation, concern, and amateur investigation. Thousands of people analyzed timelines, photographs, interviews, and witness statements. Some genuinely hoped to help. Others became convinced they could solve the mystery themselves. Unfortunately, these two motivations often became difficult to separate. A familiar pattern soon emerged. One group believed Dulce had been the victim of a random child predator who happened to encounter an opportunity. Another group suspected that someone within the family knew more than they were saying. Both theories gained traction because they addressed the same uncomfortable problem. The available evidence was insufficient to provide certainty, leaving room for competing interpretations. For investigators, public attention became both helpful and harmful. Media coverage increased awareness and encouraged people to share information, but it also created many false leads. Rumors spread quickly, causing innocent individuals to face suspicion. These distractions consumed time and resources that could have been used for more effective investigative efforts. Among the many theories, one detail remained central. A witness reported seeing an unfamiliar man near the playground when Dulce disappeared. The witness described the individual as a Hispanic male in his late 20s or early 30s, who was possibly seen guiding a young girl toward a red vehicle near the playground area. Investigators considered the sighting important, but remained cautious. Eyewitness memories can be affected by stress and uncertainty, making details difficult to verify. Authorities could not ignore the possibility that the witness saw something significant, but they also needed evidence before confirming the account. The FBI examined numerous individuals who fit portions of the witness description. Registered offenders, known predators, and persons with criminal histories involving children were reviewed. Investigators explored whether anyone with a relevant background had been present in or near Bridgeton that afternoon. Despite extensive effort, no suspect emerged with enough evidence to justify criminal charges. Attention also turned toward people who may have known Dulce or her family. Statistically, many crimes involving children are committed by individuals familiar to the victim. Investigators therefore explored personal relationships, family connections, and community contacts. Yet, each line of inquiry produced the same frustrating result. Suspicion existed, but evidence remained absent. Meanwhile, public attention turned toward Dulce's mother, Noema Alavez Perez. Her age, choices, and private life became subjects of intense online discussion. Many people analyzed interviews and searched for hidden clues, reflecting society's desire for answers, even when the truth remained uncertain. Investigators carefully examined the family's background, relationships, and personal history. Online rumors suggested possible conflicts or secret motives, but authorities found no evidence supporting those theories. Many popular claims eventually disappeared after deeper investigation and closer examination of the facts. Years later, efforts to find Dulce remained active and ongoing. The FBI continued sharing updated suspect details, requesting assistance from the public, and pursuing every possible lead in hopes of discovering new information. Rewards increased, while investigators and family members continued fighting to keep the case alive. New technology brought renewed hope to the investigation. Advanced analysis and modern tools created opportunities to revisit old evidence. However, despite years of work, no breakthrough has solved the mystery. Dulce's disappearance remains an unanswered question, waiting for the truth. Years after Dulce Maria Alavez disappeared from Bridgeton City Park, investigators are still confronted by the same haunting reality. The case remains open, yet its central mystery has resisted every attempt at resolution. No definitive suspect has emerged. No breakthrough has rewritten the timeline. What remains are theories, fragments of evidence, and a silence that continues to grow heavier with each passing year. When a case remains unsolved for so long, investigators naturally begin examining competing explanations. These theories are not conclusions. They are frameworks designed to organize uncertainty. Each attempts to answer the same question from a different perspective. How does a child vanish from a public place in broad daylight without leaving behind a clear trail? One theory suggests that the offender may have possessed some level of familiarity with Dulce or her family. Supporters of this idea argue that the disappearance appeared unusually efficient. The person responsible, if such a person existed within the family's social orbit, may have understood the routines, vulnerabilities, or circumstances surrounding the children that afternoon. Familiarity can sometimes eliminate the hesitation that strangers naturally face. From a behavioral standpoint, known offenders often possess advantages unavailable to strangers. A familiar face may lower a child's defenses. Trust can replace fear. Compliance can replace resistance. If Dulce recognized the individual approaching her, even casually, she might have perceived no immediate reason to feel threatened. Such scenarios have appeared repeatedly throughout criminal history, making the theory difficult to dismiss entirely. Yet this explanation faces a significant obstacle. Despite extensive investigation, authorities have never publicly identified evidence connecting a specific acquaintance to the disappearance. Interviews, background reviews, and examinations of family relationships failed to produce a convincing suspect. The theory remains possible, but possibility alone is not proof. The absence of supporting evidence continues to weaken its position. The second theory is often regarded by investigators as the more probable scenario. In this version of events, Dulce encountered an opportunistic predator. Such offenders frequently search for environments where supervision is limited, routines are predictable, and potential victims can be isolated quickly. A busy playground may appear safe to families, yet it can also provide concealment for someone searching for vulnerability. According to this theory, the offender may have noticed two young children playing without direct adult supervision. The opportunity existed only briefly, but experienced predators often operate within extremely narrow windows. They understand how quickly circumstances change. They know that hesitation increases risk. If someone had been watching the playground, even a few minutes may have been sufficient. This possibility aligns with one of the most troubling aspects of the case. There was no confirmed scream, no obvious struggle, and no public disturbance. Many child abductions carried out by strangers occur far more quietly than people imagine. Offenders frequently rely on deception rather than force. A simple request, a fabricated emergency, or a convincing promise can secure a child's cooperation long enough to escape. Yet this theory also raises uncomfortable questions. If a stranger successfully abducted Dulce in broad daylight, how did that individual avoid detection so completely? How did no camera capture decisive evidence? How did a person apparently vanish alongside a child from a crowded environment without leaving behind a stronger trail? The very efficiency of the disappearance challenges both theories simultaneously. This is why the case remains suspended between competing explanations. If the offender was known to the family, investigators have found no convincing evidence. If the offender was a stranger, the execution appears remarkably effective. Both possibilities contain strengths and weaknesses. Both explain certain details while leaving others unresolved. The mystery survives because neither theory fully answers every question. Beyond theories lies a deeper psychological dimension. Child abductions involving strangers often occur with shocking speed. Behavioral research has shown that some incidents unfold in less than a minute. Adults tend to imagine prolonged confrontations, yet reality is frequently different. The critical period may last only seconds, leaving little opportunity for witnesses to recognize danger before it has already passed. Children are often more vulnerable because their understanding of danger differs from adults. A kind smile, calm voice, or simple request may not seem threatening. Young children frequently trust confident adults naturally. If Dulce followed someone willingly at first, the lack of obvious fear or resistance becomes easier to explain. If the witness description is accurate, the unknown person's actions may suggest patience and careful observation. Those who exploit vulnerable situations often avoid acting randomly. They watch their surroundings, recognize weaknesses, and wait for opportunities. Whether the event was planned beforehand or happened suddenly remains uncertain. The future of the investigation may depend on technology that was unavailable years ago. Modern tools such as facial recognition, vehicle analysis, digital mapping, and data systems have helped reopen cold cases. A small, forgotten detail or overlooked clue could eventually become the breakthrough needed. Beyond the details of the case itself, Dulce's disappearance continues to raise deep questions about justice, trust, and human nature. Communities rely on safety and normal routines, but a single harmful act can permanently change countless lives. Time may hide certain answers, yet the search for truth continues, driven by hope and determination. Today, the name Dulce Maria Alavez remains more than a case file. It represents a family still waiting for answers, investigators still pursuing leads, and a community forever marked by uncertainty. Years have passed since that afternoon in Bridgeton City Park, yet the search continues. Somewhere, perhaps in a memory, a document, a conversation, or a conscience burdened by knowledge, the truth may still exist. Until that truth is found, the silence remains. It lingers in the unanswered questions, the aging photographs, and the empty space left behind by a child who never came home. The investigation continues because hope continues, and as long as hope survives, the possibility of justice survives with it. Some crimes leave no screams, only questions, and some silences echo louder than any confession. Thank you for listening to Criminal Mindcast.